close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Tonight on Trucker Safety Divas, we are talking about domestic abuse. Oftentimes, it is hard for the victims to leave their abusers. Oftentimes, they're isolated from family and friends. They've been beaten down both physically, mentally, and they are financially being controlled by their abusers, or they have children involved. Remember, you are not to blame. You are not the cause for his behavior or his actions, and you deserve to be treated with respect. Remember, if you are a victim of domestic violence, there is alternatives. Be sure to contact the National Domestic Abuse Hotline. This is their phone number here. And for those who prefer to text, this is the text information. Don't be silent today. At Trucker Safety Divas, we are a sisterhood of both truckers, truckers' wives, girlfriends, and family members who form a true family at Trucker Safety Divas. We are here to promote positivity and unity amongst our trucking community, to help inspire other women to join the trucking industry or wives to reach out for support, and to motivate each other to help keep going when life throws struggles at us, and also to help educate other women to join the industry. We want you to join Trucking Safety Divas. We need you to help us grow stronger. Please contact us today about joining the Divas and help us become stronger.
Hey ladies, how is everybody?
Hello. Good, how are you guys? Hello everyone.
Awesome intro. I have chills.
I was like, we were trying to get everything prepared before the show. We were rushing today.
We were.
Oh,
Well, it came out really good.
Yeah.
Thank you. So Chris, we'll start with you. How is the first week in CDL school?
First week in CDL school was a success. Lots of information, lots of yes, Catherine. Thank you, Ashley. It was very busy. It was very long. Definite change in my schedule, but it was a success. Ended off with my CDL permit, and we're good to go for the rest of the couple weeks. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yay!
Yes. Yes.
Fantastic. So my cohort Lori here has got different colored hair now. She's got blue on the bottom and purple on the top. She went ombre today.
Nice.
And I was supposed to do purple in my hair, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I don't know if I know I don't want to do all my hair, but I want to do the tip. So we'll figure it out. So
I think you'll look really good with your blonde hair.
Stephanie says she loves your hair.
Thank you. Thank you.
It does look really good. I love it.
I know.
Thank you, guys.
Catherine, how was your week? Anything new, exciting, fun?
I feel like it's been everything but that. So
I know.
We've had some mental health struggles in our family this week, so we are working on them. And today was a much, much better day. So we're gonna build on that.
Good.
We're gonna keep moving forward.
Good. That's so good. When you have a good day, it's a little bit of breath of fresh air.
Yes.
Yes.
That's exactly it. It was definitely needed. And
Good.
I am very bummed that Ron is leaving tomorrow, but it's inevitable. So.
Yeah.
I understand.
I'm sorry, honey.
It's part of the life. I mean, it is what it is. I'm trying. We're watching the weather though. We're supposed to get sleet and freezing rain between 5 in the morning and 2 p.m. So he may leave later. We're not sure yet.
Oh wow.
Which I would be okay with that.
Right.
A little bit more time. A little bit more time.
Just a little bit.
All right, Ashley, how was your week? I know that you are starting up a new business with t-shirt designs.
I am, and I had somebody on Instagram reach out, and they wanted me to put my designs and sell them through their shop too. So I've got some more leads, and so that's exciting. But I got to be an admin on Trucker Safety Divas. So what more could you ask for?
Yay! Now there's 5 of us.
Love it.
So
Yes.
I appreciate it very much, and it's just a blessing and an honor. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yes. So going forward, if anybody needs any help with Divas for any reason, or if you have questions, this is the 5 of us that you can get a hold of now. We have other Divas who are moderators, and you can get a hold of them too. But these are the new administrators of Trucker Safety Divas, so we're the founders of it. So if you have any questions or anything, you can get a hold of any of us.
Absolutely.
And I just realized I didn't put your name up here, Lori. I'm sorry.
Oh, well.
We originally had Lori over there, and then we swapped and put her over here. So it just says Angie.
I'm at Angie today.
Yes. Yeah.
A couple of days now.
Got our nails done.
Got our nails
Right, yeah,
done.
I saw that.
Yep.
They're beautiful.
Yes. And then we're going to go out to dinner after the show.
Very nice.
Oh, and we're meeting James's mom, I think.
We're meeting James's mom tonight, but we've had a really good couple of days. It's been nice to hang out.
And tomorrow the boys get to watch the Raiders game. They'll be excited. We're just
Very
praying that we don't need a defibrillator and have to, like one of them has a heart attack during the game. So that's what we're hoping.
None of us can get on the road till Monday, so
Yeah.
just kind of hanging out truck stops together.
Yep.
Well, that's a good way to spend the weekend, if you will.
Right?
So last week we talked about domestic abuse, and we had a couple of people on our show. And so this week we each kind of divided up topics on what we wanted to discuss and kind of touch on. One of the things that I had come across was, how do you know if you're in an abusive relationship? And while I was going through this, I didn't realize that they'd trigger me as much as they did. I was like, check, double check, triple check. Yes, I've had this. So, but these are, yes. I was like, you don't realize it until you start researching and you start like reading it and you're like, oh my gosh, like I had every one of these. So if you're not sure, yeah,
I was
at the bottom, I'm sorry, at the bottom we do have the national hotline, the domestic abuse hotline number running. And we had it in the middle of the commercial. We'll run the commercial again. You know,
yes.
Feel free to reach out if you feel that you're in a domestic abuse case.
Yes.
So, so some of the signs they said to look out for, and by the way, I'm going to read through 9 of them, and they said if you have 2 of them, minimum of 2, you're in an abusive relationship. So the first one, of course, is humiliation. Usually it starts out with small jabs, like joking, just, oh, I'm just making fun of you, you know, you're just taking it too easy, too light, you know, and then eventually it goes into insults, yelling, and embarrassment, especially around family members and friends. The verbal insults is another one. Physical violence, controlling behavior. They tend to alienate you from your friends, your family, your coworkers. They do this so that your friends and families will not see the signs of abuse that are happening to you. And they want you to become totally dependent on them financially, emotionally, physically.
Yes.
Yeah. Unpredictable mood swings. I know. I was going through this. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is scary.
You can stop right there, Ange, because I'm like, all right, check.
Right. Isn't that horrible?
It's awful.
Unpredictable mood swings. And it said, you know, one of the things that they said normally they like to pick fights with you when there's something big getting ready to happen in your life, like a holiday or a party or a family get together. Yep.
Yes.
Picking out your faults, treating you like you're a child or disciplining you. And then if you try to defend yourself, they tend to lash out, and they never take responsibility for their actions. Placing blame on you for everything in the relationship. They like to blame you for everything that goes wrong and take no responsibility for their behavior. It's always your fault. It's the reason that they hit you or the reason that they called out names or said horrible things to you is your fault. You're the reason for it. Manipulation. They convince the victim that they deserve both the physical and verbal abuse, and that is their fault. And then number 9 is the calculated outburst, like we talked, where they tend to lose control before holidays or family events so that they can guarantee that that event is ruined for you the rest of the day. So if you find any of those, then you are definitely in an abusive relationship and probably should be looking for ways to get out of it.
Yes.
So
That brings reality to a whole new level for me.
I know. So the other thing was they were talking about, these are just some more tips, but it says if you're planning on making a plan to escape, and we talked about this a little bit last week, that it is proven that if you decide that you want to leave, that's usually the most dangerous time for a woman is when they finally get up that courage that they want to leave. So here's some tips for you. If you decide that you finally have got the courage enough and enough's enough and you're ready to leave, is know your abuser's red flags. Know what's going to tip them off and try to avoid those triggers and try to avoid any of those red flags that's going to tip or that's going to trigger your person. Identify safe spots in your house so that if before you leave, before you can put your plan into action, if they happen to be triggered, know a safe place that you can go hide that they can't get to you in. Come up with a code word for your family and friends. So a word that's going to let your family and friends know that you're trying to put your plan into action and that you're ready to leave him.
Or her.
Or her, exactly. Ready to leave at a moment's notice. To try to have everything ready so that if it comes down to having to leave, some of the things were making sure that your car is fueled, making sure that you have plenty of cash on hand, make sure you have important documents for both you and your children. Make sure that you have a spare car key because a lot of times they'd like to try to take your car keys away from you so you don't have a way to escape.
Yes.
Memorize important phone numbers in case they take away your phone. And then make sure you have a safe place to stay. And if you don't, you can always call a domestic abuse shelter and get a caseworker to help you with that. And then they recommend also before you put your plan into place, practice your plan. Practice how you're going to get out. Make sure that family members or friends are going to be helping you know exactly what's going to be going on so that everybody is in place with it. And then get a burner phone. Do not keep your phone with you because if they can track you, they're going to track you through your phone. So get a burner phone and leave your phone at home, but make sure that the people who are helping you have a number and a way to reach you. Memorize emergency phone numbers again, and just in case for some reason you have to call somebody. Let's see, turn off your phone so they can't track you. Do not use your debit card because if they have access to your bank account and you use your debit card, then they know how to track you and where to find you. So always use cash. Make sure you have cash on hand. And again, contact the domestic abuse shelter because they have caseworkers in place to help you out for that reason. And then the other thing that I had was, I think it was this one. It was talking about one of the things, and we kind of discussed this a little bit last week, was why don't victims leave when they're in the middle of a domestic abuse situation? And 90% of the time when a victim leaves, they go right back to their abuser. And the family members and the friends get so frustrated and so mad at them. And so one of the reasons, and it didn't quite hit me until I read this, and I'm like, oh yeah, duh, is because they have been so isolated from their family, their friends, and their coworkers, and only been with their abuser for that entire time that they feel like they have nobody they can reach out to, nobody that they can trust, explain what's happening to them, and feels like nobody's going to understand or be compassionate to them. The other thing is that they have been beaten down both physically and emotionally, and sometimes they just don't have the strength or the will to get out. And then also being financially controlled. If you have children involved, your abuser could be the one controlling your finances. And not only are you having to think about you and your escape plan, but you have to think about how you're going to get your kids out safely. So just remember, these are just a couple key things. You are not to blame for the violence that has happened in your household. We actually did a live last night, and I had 2 women on there telling me about how their children are grown now, and that their children blame them for the mental abuse that the moms went through. And you just need to remember that the abuser is the one that is doing the harm. He's the one that's causing the problems, and you are not to blame for his actions. You are never the cause of his behavior or her behavior. and that you deserve to be treated with respect. You deserve happiness, and you deserve a safe place for you and your kids. So that's my big thing. But I think the biggest thing is, if you're deciding to put a plan into action, if you've decided that enough is enough, you need to sit down and really have a plan. Have one, maybe two people that you can trust, that you can allow them to know what the plan is, what the situation is, what you're planning on doing, and make sure that you take steps to keep yourself and your children safe. And I cannot recommend enough, if you need to use the domestic abuse shelters. Caseworkers there are trained specifically to help keep you and your children safe. They will help you find a safe place to live. They'll help you find a new job. They will help you get back on your feet. That's what they do. And the most important thing is they want to keep you safe. So I know some of us have spent time in domestic abuse shelters. Obviously, they're not the best things in the world, but when you weigh out what's better, living in a domestic abuse shelter or staying with my abuser, so you got to kind of weigh it out. And that's what they're there for. They're there to help you and guide you through this process. So
one thing I want to add to that, Angela,
yeah,
while you were talking, is I know for me, and I add it because this was me, no matter how much you think you trust your abuser's family, whether it's relationships that you have built with their cousins, of sisters, of friends, of whoever, I can't stress enough is make sure that those safe people or those contacts that you choose to be involved are not in any way, shape, or form part of your abuser's network, because 9 times out of 10, they're just an information highway to go back to that abuser and give them key points. For me, that's what dug my hole and made it super dangerous for me to leave multiple times. So a neutral person, sometimes even people in your family aren't the best to rely on, especially if they don't believe the things that you're going through. You know what I mean? Yep. Neutral people that don't know what's going on, a counselor or.
Trust that person if you're going to tell them your plan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Catherine or Ashley, you guys got anything you want to add to that as far as put a plan into action and how to stay safe out there?
So I didn't have a plan.
I didn't either.
It was kind of an emergency, get out of Dodge quick and in a hurry. If hindsight's 2020, I say that a lot about my situation and the things I could have done different, that I should have done different. When they say, when Angie was talking about talk to somebody, tell somebody your plan, I had so many colleagues at work that I could have talked to. My boss was the director of the local women's shelter, and I didn't talk to her. She knew what was going on. And she didn't want to approach me because she didn't want to, trigger anything with me, but I didn't want to, I felt like if I kept trying, I could make it better. And that, I think, was one of my lessons learned, that you can't help people that don't want to be helped.
Yes.
You can't fix things that are unfixable. And that was a very hard lesson for me to learn. I had tried marriage counseling, I don't know, like 2 or 3 times. We tried mediation. We tried a whole freaking class about divorce. We tried all these different things trying to remedy, but it was just me. I was the one trying to remedy it, because I thought, okay, if I go through the steps, it'll be fixed. And that's not true. And so in my case, I kept leaving and going back because I thought, okay, well, we can, I can make this better if I just listen, if I just do what he tells me, if I just clean the right way, if I just follow his rules, it'll be okay. And that's how I remedied things in my head. So don't let your head tell you, it's going to be okay, because inevitably it's not.
Maybe for the short term, but never for the long term.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just
Ashley.
Yeah, I just had a few that I was taking some notes on what came to mind. So like I talked about last week, I believe wholeheartedly in having that nest egg. So whether that be in Cash App where they don't know about it, or whatever your nest egg can be, please make sure that you have a nest egg, because that's definitely what helped me both times when I escaped. And both times I did not plan on escaping. So you have to have your own, something of your own. And definitely, like I said last week, I just want to reiterate turning Google off. Like Angie said, turn the location services off. If you can't come up with another phone, get those shut off. Don't get on your social media, or at least check your social media once you get to your safe place and look on there, observe those friends that you have on there. Make sure it's nobody that's going to go back and tell that person anything, or try not to post on there for quite a while until you really know that you're safe, but also go through those friends and weed those out as well. Do not answer the phone, to piggyback off what Chris said. I don't care if it is their mama and you were best friends. I don't care if it is, your sister and that was getting ready to be your sister-in-law, because I know I had a terrible time this last time, letting those people down. And like I said, let them call you whatever they want. That is flying monkeys that are on that person's side. And those are people that would not believe you, even if it happened right in front of them. They're still going to defend their son or their daughter or whoever the case is. Just the final thing is, from what Catherine was saying, is just because you have children does not mean that you have to stay with that person. And I see that happen a lot. I've seen it happen my whole life. And I just want to add that in.
Yes.
And
So
I just
true.
want to add something for the viewers. And the reason that we're telling you all of this, that we're trying to be very thorough with what we're telling you, is that knowledge is power.
Amen.
And if I knew, I'm getting emotional already. If I knew half the things that I know now, then I wouldn't have gone through it. But
Absolutely.
I am a stronger person now. So,
Off of what she was saying, though, I even, like I said, this was my second time going through it. So the first time I thought, because I started studying red flags, right? And I had them all written down. I think I still have the notebook right here. I literally have a notebook of red flags and green flags and the difference, right? And I still ended up in another one because of manipulation,
because
and
they're manipulative.
somebody put on an act, and because somebody that once I got in his truck, I was his captive, and he was able to show me the person that he was, aside from the cameras on a live stream, aside from even the person that I video chatted with and talked to for a year, right? So don't ever think that you might know everything and have all the knowledge. We're always learning, right? We're always learning. So,
And I think too, to kind of piggyback off of what you said, Ashley, I feel like, at least again for me, and quite possibly some other women out there, when you are in a situation, we'll say, and you end up, getting out of it and think you're doing okay, and you find yourself in another situation, I feel like it's because our minds don't fully go back to where they were prior to that original situation. So there's a healing process that happens that leaves us with a weak spot. You know what I mean? Where we become naturally vulnerable to the possibilities of reoccurrences. And I think that's important also. So don't blame yourself if you hop from one, I call them situations because I don't believe they're relationships, but from one situation to another, don't beat yourself up over that.
Especially if that's all you've seen and that's all you've had modeled in your life.
Right. That's what I mean.
A lot of times, if we grew up in those kind of environments when we were children, then what will we gravitate towards? Because to us, toxic is normal.
Correct. Yep. And that's kind of exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We got a couple of comments here that I wanted to put up. Kathy Cutler said, it might be hard to do a nest egg if he doesn't allow you to keep money, because he will control all of that as well. That was my
very true. Right.
There was no way I could do a nest egg.
I had not a penny when I left.
But what I'm saying is before you get with someone. So that's my thing. Like going forward. Before prior, make sure you have your own that he doesn't know about. So
somebody else said, do not use social media. And then another red flag that people don't see is if you have animals, that they will also abuse them as well.
Yes.
Which, yes, that's so true.
That happened to me too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That happened to my turbo, and now he is scared of everything and everyone, and he's a bit I don't know if retaliative is a word, but she built him into not a very nice dog, if you will.
And it says you can get a plan off the internet, but you do have to be careful. So yeah. And Lori, I was going to show everybody. Hold on.
Oh, I got him.
Yeah, I got all the pictures too, so you can pop up whatever you want. So last night we were at Love's, and one of the things Lori knew, and we'll demonstrate for you, is this. And I'm not even going to tell you what the boy said it looked like.
Mayday response something. I can't recall it. So what it is up here. There's a pull chain. Pull that out, and it will alarm.
So I'm going to warn you right now. I'm pulling it out. It's going to be loud. I'm going to warn you right now. But the good thing about this, so this one, the way I have it set up, because Lori just gave this to me last night, is Lori and I both wear backpack purses. So I had mine right here on my strap. So should I feel like I'm in danger or something like that, I literally just have to grab it on my shoulder and just yank it. Yep. So I'm going to warn you now, if you have small children or dogs or whatever, they're not going to like this noise, but this is what it sounds like. Pretty loud. I like you feedback, kid. You really should have practiced this better. Right? There you go. So anyway, but it was $7.99 at Love's, and Lori and I have been looking up today. We're going to try to find him cheaper. But just a little FYI to the divas who are on here, Lori and I are going to make sure that you each get one of these, so that even though we know you're not, some of you aren't truckers, we want you to have these so you feel a little safer. The other cool thing is it does have a flashlight on it too, which I don't know how to get to work, but it's got a flashlight, I swear to God.
It worked last night.
There you go, So, but you have to put it right in the keychain. But Lori's got other ones too.
But they come in all styles, colors, all that. This is mine. Okay. This is a self-defense tool. Okay. It's just a long weapon. You can put it between your hands, your fingers, or whatever. So just in case somebody's trying to grab you, you can poke him back or poke her back or however you want to do that.
And by the way, I have seen these sold at the truck stops. So you can get them from the truck stop.
We do have links for Amazon where you can find these. We'll be posting them on the Divas. You also have your whistle. All right, here we go. Your whistle to alarm somebody. Okay, so basically what this is, my keychain here, this is a self-defense keychain. So it's got all your self-defense tools on. You got your wireless doorbell ringer, not wireless, but your doorbell ringer, whatever. Also, another thing that I was told, you can use your keys as a self-defense item. Okay, just put it between your fingers. Yep. Put it between your fingers, and there you go. Okay. The other couple things, you got pepper spray, and there is mace out there also, and you can find that on Amazon. Now, the reason why I have these guys is because when James was on the road for that 2 months and I was home by myself, there was nobody there. So I had to make sure that I felt secure enough being at home alone. But then I also have my stun gun.
Okay, that thing is tiny as hell.
It is tiny.
I love that.
But it does a really good impact on somebody. I can't tell you how much bolt it will do right now, but it's going to put somebody down. So those are a couple things that I carry with me. There's a lot more items that you'll see that Angie's going to put up that you'll find on Amazon for cheap.
Yeah, so these are some things that we found on Amazon, and we're going to put up the links after the show to kind of help you guys out. There's your mace and your pepper spray. Oh, what is that one? It's a key that looks like a knife. It's a key
with a knife in it, so that you can, I'm not sure, I'll have to research that, but I'm pretty sure you can have a key made, like your house key or your automobile key, but with that knife in it.
Well, that is freaking cool. All right.
And there's the alarm system.
Yeah. Like I said, we found those at Love's last night. They were $7.99. They were pretty inexpensive, but we know we saw them on Amazon cheaper. So we'll put the links up in the group later on tonight. So if anybody is interested in those, and I think we're going to actually do some research, Lori and I. If anybody has any connections to any or to any companies that sell self-defense items, what we would like to do ideally is to get some type of like, these would be great, these little alarms, or even pepper spray or mace or something that we could hand out with the Treater Trucker program to our female truck drivers and the whites. So it'd be great advertising for the company because we're advertising the thing, and we can always advertise it with every post that we make, but also be a great way to kind of protect our women out there on the roads as well.
Excellent.
The alarms are 2 for $9.99 on Amazon, just FYI.
Oh, thank you.
See?
Okay, so yeah, Stephanie just had a good point.
Good point.
You can read it.
She says, "Wow, I didn't see the key with the knife in it. Oh, gotta watch that. It could be considered as a concealed weapon." She is right. I'll have to do some research on that.
Yeah. And Dawn Stanton said, I need one of those. And Stephanie said, Lori felt so much better once she got those things to protect her.
I did. So if you guys are home alone by yourself, just you in that home, or if you're the only one driving that truck, make sure you get some of the self-defense stuff out there so then you feel like you're safe. And that's why Auntie always says, keep your head on a swivel.
Yep. This one is inside the truck. You can use wasp spray because it shoots at a long range. We actually did once, like the beginning of the COVID pandemic, when we were seeing truckers being attacked in their trucks, we actually carried cans of wasp spray on our truck for that reason. So the good thing about the wasp spray is, you know, like I said, it shoots for a very long range. And then this one says batons are also a good thing for protection too. Or what Lori and I were talking about the other night, the big flashlights, the mag lights, those are good weapons too. Because a lot of us have the mag lights in our trucks. So
I know one thing I learned in self-defense also is just a big ink pen, just an ink pen of whatever type. I mean, you can put that between your fingers too and jab somebody or whatever you need to do.
Oh yeah, you get them right here in the throat, get them in the eyeball. It doesn't always have to be the groin area. There's plenty of other areas that you can get to.
Don't be afraid. Take the mark down.
No.
So I'll at least take them down for a couple minutes so you can get away.
Yep.
Yep.
You got to do whatever you have to.
Yep. That's what I was just going to say. That for me, that's what it would be. Just enough time for me to get away, to catch somebody's attention. Because, I mean, when you're out in public, there's typically always somebody somewhere, whether you're screaming and they're looking out their window or whatever the case is. You know, 5 or 10 seconds could be your life.
Right.
Exactly.
If
You don't
it's that
have
bad.
to like really hurt somebody as long as you hurt them enough to get away. Like, you know, that's the major thing that counts.
By the way, I just realized the person that was coming up with Facebook users that had those great ideas, that was Dutch. So thank you, Dutch.
Thank you, Dutch.
Kathy Cutler said, I just need it when I leave the house. I think especially in this day and age, I know all of us, I think a lot of times us women don't feel safe out there. And so anything we can do to protect ourselves and just give us a little bit of way of feeling more independent and that we can take care of ourselves is a good thing. So
Throwing knives can be considered as a weapon.
yes.
So that one you would have to do some research on for throwing knives.
And Dawn says, I have a 5-pound hammer right by my left leg.
That's perfect.
I know a lot of people use the tire thumpers. They'll keep those by them too. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
That's what
So
Justin.
When Ron drove flatbed, he always used his pole, his big pole.
Yeah. You've got there's lots of things that are already inside your truck that you can use as a weapon. One of the things I wanted Lori to mention, because I know that we've seen like Facebook posts and TikTok videos about women who are solo drivers out there where they take their seatbelt and they'll loop it around the door handle and lock it together so that somebody can't get in. Another good one that we saw is if you have the horn, the not the city horn, but the loud horn, and you have one of those cables that hangs down, you can do a tie around that and into your door. So if they try to open up your door, it's going to sound that horn. So that's another one.
That's a really good idea.
That is a good idea.
You got one too.
Well, it's not really on our domestic violence, but a while ago we had somebody that got in charge, right? So I thought 14 trucks because there was a truck. I wouldn't feel this way anymore, but I still do. I still feel like that person's running away from me. So now, what my best friend did was she bought me some ratchet straps for Christmas. So we loop ratchet straps through the door handles, and then we put them together. So it's to me, it's safer. I feel a whole lot better. I can actually sleep a lot better at night. So ratchet straps, I can post a picture. Ratchet straps, they're easy to undo. So even if there's a fire or anything, you'll still be able to get out of your truck.
Yeah. Dawn Stanton said, I really need something to protect myself because I am alone at home. And Dawn, she's a female truck driver, and she's by herself as a truck driver too. And then I believe this is Dutch too. Do not walk in between trailers if possible because people hide under them.
Yes.
Do not walk dogs in the back of a trailer and stay inside of people. That is so true. When I'm at
Really good information. Thank you, Dutch.
Absolutely. Seriously, that's good. Yeah. Whenever I'm walking in a truck stop, I always make eye contact with whoever is in that driver's seat that they can see me. And I never walk behind a truck for that reason because you never know, and especially at nighttime.
Ron did that once and he got stabbed. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, we'll go to you if you want to do your little segment here.
Okay, so for me, what I sort of did a little bit of research on is why leaving is the most dangerous situation. And actually, Angela, you touched upon a lot of it kind of when we started our show. But one of the big examples, if you will, or reasons is because when the abuser, when you leave or make it known that you're leaving, one of the main things is that the abuser has then lost control, more so if you've already gotten out of the situation. But once the abuser loses control, they're going to do anything and everything and whatever they can to regain that control. Then leading up to sort of the other safety issues, if you will, with leaving. It's dangerous because, when you leave, the abuser may threaten harm on you, your children, your pets, things that are of utmost importance to you. Therefore, women or, victims. I say victims and abuser because it can be men to women, women to men, women to women.
Absolutely.
It doesn't, there's no sex when it comes to, domestic violence. But the victim will go back. Another thing is shame. Again, you mentioned this also. And shame is feeling, the victim feeling like it's their fault. It's my fault that they're unhappy. It's my fault that I'm not a good person. It's my fault that they're feeling this way. No, it is never your fault. For those of you going through it, it is never, 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 ever your fault. And that is one of the hardest things to learn when in a domestic violence situation, or, one of the hardest things for me to heal from once I finally got out. Some of the other things that were mentioned were, finances. Again, you mentioned it. A lot of these abusers have such tight reins on their victims, and the victims don't even know it. You try to leave and then you find yourself, where am I going to go? I have no money. I have no means. I have no resources. And that is also a difficult thing when trying to leave, is that you don't know where to go or who to turn to or how you're even going to be financially stable. How are you going to build yourself up? Community resources, another danger, when women are leaving, because again, fear is actually the kind of subtitle that it was under, and fear of kind of all of that stuff, retaliation, fear of loss of family or friends, community resources, authoritative support. I know that there are a lot of places around the country that tend to not acknowledge domestic violence for what it is. They sort of, play it off. I mean, for me, it was the court systems. For others, it's the shelters. Another thing, it's dangerous because the shelters, they don't have any room. They're full. They don't take pets. They don't take children. Whatever the case is, there's a lot of fear that these women have when they are wanting to leave. I'm trying to think of some of the other things that I came across. I know it had said something about, 77% of victims that leave and it ends up in basically a murder situation. And 75%, I think, is what it said, it is fear, retaliation within 2 years after the victim leaves. So leaving is not always the easy part. Leaving is actually the hard part. Making sure that if you don't have anywhere to go, or you are in imminent danger, if you will, go right to the police station. Chances are, if your abuser is threatening your life and you walk up to the police station, or you end up at the police station, of course, if you can, they're not going to follow you to the police station. And if they do, well, you're in a good spot for them to show their behind, if you will. A lot of that stuff. It's like personal fears that make it dangerous. Where am I going to go? Who am I going to talk to? But, having a plan is definitely something that we should all think about. But again, the likelihood of that, I know for me, I didn't have a plan. I just said enough was enough, and I got in my car and drove. I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know where I was going to end up. I didn't know how I was going to eat that night with my 3 little kids in the van. I just knew that I had to get out, and I would figure it out on the road. I don't know how. I don't know what means, but I was going to figure it out. And that's what I did. And it took me a long, long time after I left the first time to be stable. And looking back on it now, I was never stable. And it was a struggle, but definitely, if you're leaving, they do say, have somebody that you can talk to, memorizing those phone numbers, all of those kinds of things all pose imminent dangers when leaving, because if you have no means, 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up right back in that situation, with that same abuser. So, that's those are kind of some of the key points that I've run across in doing some research.
Can I throw something in there?
Sure.
You always hear, they dress. It's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. No, it's not. It didn't have to do with the way we dress, or the way we carry ourselves, or the way we act.
Oh, absolutely. Right.
We should be able to be who we are and not worry about somebody attacking us or whatever it is. But I'm sorry, I don't like that.
I don't either.
Narcissism may also be a factor in that too, from the abusers.
Absolutely.
I, me, my way or the highway. That is also a serious form of control. And not everybody that is narcissistic is controlling, but I'm just saying, in relation to this particular topic, narcissism is right there. So watch out for that as well.
Yeah.
I actually I agree with that, because I was told, in my first relationship, if I wore white eyeshadow or a skirt or got a certain tattoo, that I was a whore. So it didn't matter that I wasn't. It was just what Lori was saying. If he thought, that I did these XYZ certain things, then I was a whore, and I was made to go in and change clothes and, but so the tattoo, it was funny. I can share this later with the group if they want to see it. But I got a tattoo done after I left that first time, the first person I'm referring to, because it was the one he said that if you get that, you're a whore. And in the heart of it, it's actually a lace garter around my thigh, and it has an antique pistol that comes down off of it. And in the handle of that, it's a heart jewel, and it has the purple domestic violence heart in it.
I love it.
And so that was
I want one now.
I did is I went and got it, because I was like, oh yeah, you're not going to tell me what to do anymore. So, but
I'm going to get a matching one, Ashley.
What'd you say?
We'll all get together and get one. I think that would be a good idea. I already want to get a Tucker Safety Divas one.
Yeah.
So we got a couple of comments that I want to get to real quick, and then Catherine will get to you. So Nicole said, when I worked at the rest area, when I worked at the rest area, I made contact with the drivers to know who was there at all times when I worked the night shift. Exactly. Make anything you can do to keep yourself safe. And then Kathy said that her hubby is going to get her a tire thumper for her pickup truck. And Don Needham said, any update on the victim in Tucson and how she is doing? So briefly, we tried to help a woman this week who was a domestic violence victim. She reached out to us for help. We were able to help her out financially with some hotel expenses. The hotel kindly also pitched in a few nights for the stay. But I will tell you that Ashley and Chris and Catherine and Lori and I and Kathy Cutler and Sheila Long and Amanda, like everybody, there was 9 of us that were working on this. And we worked tirelessly, and we did give her several options and several shelters that were able to offer her assistance. Unfortunately, we did have to part ways with her because she really did want to take our assistance. So unfortunately, I really don't have an update. I know that we provided groceries, and we provided hotel stays and lots of resources, but unfortunately, I don't have an update. So we hope she's doing well. We hope that she used the resources that we gave her, and we wish the best for her. Unfortunately, we just couldn't offer any more assistance than what we already did, because I think we spent, 4 days researching and
At least, yes.
yeah.
None of us really slept much those couple of days, and it was just, we're all gung-ho about making sure she had that help.
Yeah. The good news is all 9 of us learned some very valuable lessons out of this, what to do going forward, what not to do going forward. I think that it's strengthened us that we all want to work towards getting our 501c so that we can help more women. Going forward, we're going to do things in a much different way. So
Yes.
it was a good educational experience. So
It was. It was.
Catherine, we'll let you have the floor now.
So I want to talk to people about resources, and I think right up front. So I have 2 degrees. I'm very well educated, and I didn't know where to go. So that being said, there are resources all around you all the time, and you just have to be brave, and you have to make yourself talk to somebody. It could be your healthcare provider. It could be your best friend. It could be your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your neighbor next door. There's somebody there all the time. You have to be brave, and you have to be strong and take that step. There are hundreds of websites dedicated to domestic violence. The most important one is the National Domestic Violence Hotline. That is the number scrolling across your screen right now that Angie just popped up. You can text them 88788, text START, and they will work with you that way. If you get on the website and you think you're being monitored, there's an escape hatch. So you just click the button, it'll take you out of the screen. There is information galore out there, and I could sit here for hours and tell you all the different things. But the hotline.org is the website. There are coalitions for every state listed there. You can call them and ask, where can I find a shelter? You can call them and ask how to plan for an escape, and they have counselors dedicated to this very subject, and they are 24/7 hotline. They are staffed all the time. The other thing I wanted to talk about, there's obviously resources for domestic violence. With that being said, there's also, so after, sometimes what happens in domestic violence cases, women get blamed for the violence, for fighting back. There is legal help out there. The National Domestic Violence Hotline will help with that too. They have, I was just looking, they have resources for African Americans, for Latinos, for Native Americans, all these different ways to work with whoever you are. And I I think, like I said, my biggest thing is just don't be afraid to do it, to ask for help. You know, it could be somebody at the library. Like you're around people all day long. Now for the truck drivers, you know, I was talking to Ron a little bit about this. You know, talk to the female cashiers. If you feel like you're in danger and you don't want to go back out to that truck, don't. Stay in there. They will take you in the back office. They will, you know, there's security guards. There's oftentimes police right there. You have to be brave and reach out to them. I would, and that's, you know, I've said this often, hindsight's 2020, and I was not brave. I was scared and I was controlled and I was shamed. And so I was like, and my biggest fear, so, and this is still a fear for me, is that I'm a failure, that I'm not good enough. And so why should I go and try to get help? I'm just going to fail there. So I'll just stay in my current circumstances, put up with it and try to make it better, because that was my mindset. That was how I thought. He controlled the finances. He controlled our schedules. He controlled everything. And, like I said, I wish I knew then what I know now. I did put together a list of resources that I sent, you know, I have it on Google Docs. Angie has the link for it. But, you know, at not every truck stop, but a lot of truck stops have chapels and a mobile chapel or something. Again, I covered the female cashiers, the security guards, the police, DOT, truckers, divas. Reach out to us. We'll help. Yep. We will help you. And again, you know, I'm educated, and I'm reasonably educated. I have a bachelor's degree. I have an associate's degree, and my degree's in public health. Like, I did a whole paper about community health and how to help people, and I still ended up in a situation. So, I think that I can't stress it enough. You have to be brave.
I do want to add too that even though you're getting the help or there's somebody out there helping you, you still have to be brave enough to also help yourself.
Yep, that's just it. That you have to be willing to help yourself. And I mean, like, I was one of those that left, you know, and came back and left and came back and had 4 PFAs and all the things. And it's just, you know, we were talking about, we had talked earlier in the week about our brains just get wired to needing that kind of toxicity. Like, it's almost like a drug. You get almost like addicted because that's all you know, and that's what you expect. I was afraid to form relationships. I was afraid to rely on the relationships I already had.
Well, I think even after you get out of a bad relationship and you finally find somebody that's good and wholesome and that loves the person you are, you still kind of regret back to that bad situation. You still end up doing those bad traits, even though you don't have to do them no more. But it's just like second nature.
It took Ron like a year to break me of my bad habits. I still do some too. Yeah, and he like, very specifically, like, he had me to the point where he would ask me, then my ex, he would ask me where I wanted to go out to eat, and I couldn't answer because I was afraid my answer would be wrong. So here, you know, years later, here comes Ron. Where do you want to go eat? And I'm like, oh, it's up to you. You decide. And he's like, no. I'm from Kentucky. I don't know anything in Pennsylvania. And I was scared to death that if I told him Denny's or if I told him whatever, Applebee's, it doesn't matter, that it was the wrong answer. And then when we get there, I was afraid to order. So it took him like lots of patience and lots of prodding to get me to evolve. And I say evolve because breaking those old habits is incredibly difficult. And scary.
Right. And for those of us that have moved on and that are in healthy relationships, I think we lost our main
I think we got our hosts.
You know, for those of us that are in a better place and have been able to leave. I think the people that we're with who have not experienced the domestic violence have to have an understanding of the level of damage that has been done mentally, like with you, with Ron, me
Yeah.
with Justin.
Yes.
He would always be like, why are you, why, like I asked you where you wanted to go, what do you want to do tonight? And it's
Yep.
definitely a life, not, I don't want to say lifelong healing process, but it's an everyday fight
And there's
to have a
and I think
voice.
the other thing,
Catherine and I were just discussing that about options and how I was given options with this last person, right? But whenever I was given an option, he put me down when I made the choice.
right.
And he destroyed any feeling of freedom or that I had an option. And so, and I mean, he would scream and put me down and be in my face the whole night about whatever option it was, whether it was the dinner we went to, whether it was the food there, and how stupid were you to pick something like that? And whether it
How
was
dare you?
the church we went to in South Carolina, I had a choice of like 3 different churches, and I chose one. And oh my God, the whole time I was there and the whole evening afterwards, it was, do you realize that's not theologically sound? Do you realize, blah, blah. I mean, it was just, it didn't matter.
It's almost like
Brenda's
a setup to continue with a situation or continue that control. It's almost like they give you the option just to be able to feed off of it later. And
that's a narcissist. That's what they do.
Yes. And I'm sorry, I wanted to bring up one more thing. So part of what with domestic violence, the other part of what I wanted to cover is really important to me because it's part of my experience. So often when there's domestic violence, we talked a little bit about animal abuse, that happened. Child abuse, that happened. Rape, that happened. So there's all these other resources available for those situations. So again, you have to be brave, because I wasn't, and I got into a situation where it was emergent that I get out, that it was emergent that I find temporary shelter. And when it's 8 o'clock at night and it's dark and you don't know where you're going to end up, it's really scary when you have 2 little kids. Chloe was 5 and Jacob was 11. So it was incredibly scary. And, just be brave, take that step, reach out, love yourself. So, like, that's my big thing. Like, you just have to be brave. I was scared.
Right.
All right. Sorry, guys, we lost internet connection there for a minute. We're back.
Like, oh
no. I know. It never fails. And the thing is, we have a brand new router and it still doesn't work. So I think I'm going to have to buy my own Wi-Fi because it is not working.
Oh,
it's
dear.
not reliable. Oh, well.
You said that, and I was like, please do not say anything right now.
I know. I'm smelling my router, but it doesn't smell like a good internet guy.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh, that's horrible. Anyways.
Mr. Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Mr. Wi-Fi. We can do song clap.
Ashley, we didn't hear because we got cut off. Did you have a chance to talk about your stuff yet?
No, I have not. I was waiting on Catherine to finish.
It's her turn. It's your turn, Ashley.
Drum roll. No. You guys, I just want to go over what we've heard so far. So I was taking notes. So far with Angela, we've identified what abuse is and some of the red flags. With Lori, we went over the self-defense tools and things that you can do to help. Then with Chris, she went over the plan of action and how dangerous and vital it is to know that when you're getting ready to leave your abuser, that is the scariest, most dangerous time. And then with Catherine, we had, her wonderful presentation with the resources available and how you should have that self-worth to make that. And one thing I wanted to talk about before I go into this is what Chris touched on was a percentage I wrote down that we are the 77%. When you're looking at all 5 of us on this screen, we need to give it up for ourselves that we were the 77, or we weren't the 77. 77% was the ones that were killed. So we were what was left over, right? We were the ones that survived. And when I heard 77% were murdered, that really got me. That really got me, that we were that little small percentage, and a lot of you viewers that have been through it are as well. So just give yourselves a round of applause for that you got out, you know. And that's why we're speaking tonight. We're not doing this to run anybody down, whether it be our abuser or anything else. We're doing this so that you have a voice, and that you know that that you can get out and you can go on. But just, you know, these are some of the tips. So the topic that the girls gave me was how to start over once you've made the decision to leave. Starting over is actually something that I've had to do many times in my life. So while for many it might seem like something traumatic, which especially after leaving your abuser, it is, right? But for me, it's second hat, just because of my childhood and different things like that. Material things mean nothing to me. So even those things that I lost in domestic violence, which was a lot, you know, it didn't mean anything to me to lose material items. I'm not materialistic because I've had to start over so much. And that's what you need to remember. It's your life, and you got out, and you're still here. I have 4 bullet points that I wanted to touch on tonight in reference to how to start over. The first thing I would say, and I know a lot of people are going to say, what? But after you've done all the implementations of what the girls have suggested, you need to start applying for jobs as soon as possible if you can work, if you're able to work. Yep. The reason I say that is because when I left the domestic violence the first time, what I learned is that when I was actually driving back to Illinois from North Carolina, I started applying for those jobs ASAP. There are many resources to do this, such as Indeed.com. Indeed.com actually has an app, and I was able to do that as I was driving. No, was that safe? No, we're not supposed to be texting while we're driving. I'm not advocating that, but I wanted to, you know, I had a long drive ahead of me, right? So I wanted to get that done. So you could stop, of course, and pull over and do that. Also, so when I got back, I was able to have a job within 24 hours after my arrival back to Illinois. And there's actually, I was telling Catherine a little bit of details about that. I won't go into it because it'll just make it longer in case you guys, unless you guys really want to hear maybe at the end. But there was a really neat story about how I got a job too within that amount of time. The next thing I want to go over is ensure that the next place you're going to is safe as much as you can. The reason I say this is because Angela hit me hard with a question. She said, if you're going to cover this, also go over the things that you regret or you would do again. And when I left that first situation in North Carolina, I stayed with my niece's baby's mom. Okay, because she said, you know, sis, he's going to kill you. If he doesn't do it today, he's going to do it tomorrow, but you need to get back. So she was the place I had to go, right? I didn't think of the shelters, anything like this. I thought she was safe. Well, then I got into a situation with more domestic violence and drugs and worse things. And then I was forced to stay there after I had just left one. So please ensure wherever you're going so that you don't go right back into that trauma or into worse trauma. Please make sure wherever you're going is a safe place for sure, as much as possible. Yeah. So the third point I want to touch on is look for resources who can help you once you're gone with emotional resources and housing. We've already touched on the housing, of course, and everything, but the emotional part of this is very important to remember. I did not, this is another thing I'd take back. I did not look for resources. I've never been to therapy. Talking about this is my therapy. Finding these girls that have been through it is my therapy. But I did not look for resources in my area to help me with my emotional status because of my pride and my self-independence tendencies. Just putting it out there. That's just how I've always been the one that I can handle things. I don't need anybody else. I'm going to keep moving on, right? But don't do that. Don't do what I did. There are several resources out there. I want to mention and highlight, and I didn't look to see if this is a United States one or just in the central Illinois area, but Dove. Dove is a fantastic resource for women, whether it be a shelter, whether it be, they actually have meetings kind of like NA or Alcoholics Anonymous. They have meetings. Oh, wow. Yes, they have meetings that you can go to as a group where it would be like all 5 of us sitting down and sharing our stories and voicing out some of the things that have happened to us to get the rage and the anger out and the, oh, you too? Oh, you went through that too? You know, so you have a support group within Dove. and it's a wonderful organization. They also, along with the police departments, if you leave and you don't have a phone or you want to get rid of that and get a burner phone, they work with the police departments and gather the phones that people discard and donate to them so that you can have a phone for no charge or no cost. So they do have those resources available to you for phones for like I said, no cost. Oftentimes they also at Dove have, and a lot of the other violence places too, domestic violence places have agencies that they can put you in contact with to help you get food, job placement, after trauma care, things like that. So it may be a church, but I just want to give this one thing, and I'm not downing church at all, right? But you have to be careful when you go to the church or a pastor about it. I just want to say this because I've had church hurt, I've experienced it, and a lot of times, like in this last case, he became friends with my abuser, and he is still friends with him to this day, even though he was my pastor before.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Meeting him.
So to
you
that point, I'm just going to interject. I'm really sorry, Ashley. To that point, Justin made friends with our police department. So you have to be really careful. Are we still, am I still here?
Yeah, you're here.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I was like, wait, what happened?
I'm trying to move us around so we look better.
Okay, thanks. But yeah, so you be careful who you trust. I know we do, promote that whole reaching out, but obviously be aware of his motions and his behaviors and who he's talking to, because I couldn't get the police to come to my house for nothing.
And also with churches, what they can do, right, is they can say, oh, well, forgive him with the love of the Lord. Oh, well, if you need to try to make this marriage work, and you need to try to, and that is so very dangerous to tell a woman that's just been through that, or a man for that matter, right? But they a lot of times believe in the covenant of marriage, and that's one thing you just have to be careful, because they may tell you to go back and to fight for that marriage. And if it's physical or emotional abuse, just know you do not. If you have to separate for a time, then do that. But that does not mean in the end that you have to continue the marriage. The salvation of your marriage is between you and the other person. But I'm just saying, in this case, be very careful of that advice.
We got a couple of comments I wanted to put up real quick, Ashley, just real quick.
Sure.
Dawn said, it took me a while to do some things, Catherine. My late husband had to be patient with me. He loved me and helped me through the issues, and I'm so thankful that he did. And then Dawn Needham had a couple of really good things. She said, the warning signs of a domestic abuse, the physical signs are black eyes, busted lips, red or purple marks on the neck, sprained wrists, bruises on the arms, and the emotional signs are low self-esteem, overly apologetic or meek, fearful of changes in sleeping or eating patterns, anxious or on edge, substance abuse, and then symptoms of depression, loss of interest in once enjoyed activities and hobbies. So I just wanted to make sure we posted that. And then Diane said, dodging fast moving hands to this day, and I will not sit with my back to a door.
Yep. I want to add one more thing. I know that domestic violence is very traumatic. There's a lot of lives that is lost with domestic violence. So please seek help before you end up taking your own life, because how bad a situation can be.
And I did want to let you guys know that Chris didn't leave, by the way. Her phone died. So that's why she's not on here. Her phone died. Cassie just posted. So
what was I gonna say? The ramifications of that emotional side of things. I was in therapy for 3.5 years. I went every week, and it was pretty intense, and it took me a really long time, let's just say a really long time, to rebuild. And well, it's kind of, so part of this, starting over that I wanted to tag on to what Ashley said is, I don't know about anybody else, but for myself, I had to actually like not only start over physically, like find some place to live. I had no furniture. I had bags of clothes, and so starting over is difficult and challenging. But the hardest part, I think, for me was rediscovering who I was, learning who I was, accepting myself as I was, and being okay with that, like being okay with the way God made me, being okay with who I am. And because I lost myself, I totally lost myself in those 10 years. And like I said, a lot of therapy to pull out. And, PTSD is a real thing.
Yeah.
Please seek the help, like Lori said.
Yeah, absolutely. My final point to make, number 4, was to get on, go to thrift stores, go to free stores, go to Marketplace on Facebook to look for items you might need to start rebuilding your life with.
Great.
Like I said, there's actually also occupational programs in the area that'll help you get work clothes if you have nothing, if you need dress clothes and things like that. One of the most important things I kind of want to close with here is what I learned for the aftercare part is trauma healing is a process. You guys cannot speed it up. We can't speed it up ourselves. And people say, oh, well, you have to take it one day at a time. No, for this, it's actually 1 second and 1 moment at a time.
Yes.
We still grieve, and this is what people don't understand. We still grieve our abuser and our experiences and the good memories with them, because initially what they did is they studied us and they love bombed us with music and dinners and laughter and acted as a knight in shining armor. So just like grief over losing a loved one that passed away, with violence, we experience the grief of being happy 1 moment. We might have anger, fear. The loss can be, sometimes just the same. But don't romanticize your abuser in your head based on those good experiences, or it may draw you back in. It leads me to my final point of starting over. Stay no contact. They say this with abusers. They say this with narcissists. Protect your peace and stay no contact. Contact the local authorities who can help you with we here in Illinois call it an order of protection. Other states have other names, of course. And change your phone number like was talked about. We already talked about shutting off Google location. And one of the things I regret, do not eventually give in and answer them for any reason. If I could go back and change things, that's one thing I would have done, is not felt like I needed to argue with them or say my piece about why I left or anything of the sorts. Just block them on your phone, social media, email. Again, let very few people know your new phone number and what your new address is. Let very few people know that. Take baby steps and don't look. This is what I want to leave you guys with. Take baby steps. Don't look at what you lost or how far you still have to go in starting over, right? Let your focus be on that process, and eventually you'll look back at a whole new, safe, healthy life. Will you ever be the same? No. But will you be better for it all? Yes, you will. And if you don't mind, someone did private message me the other night, and I'm not going to mention the girl's name, but it was after watching our video. And she asked me a question. She said, do you have any suggestions on now that I'm gone, now that I'm healing, I'm starting over, how do you trust people? Because I can't trust anybody now. Will that ever change? And this is what I told her. I said, I do have advice for that. It takes time to do things like stop looking at your ex's social media and things like that because you're wanting to know information. But I said it takes time to allow yourself to trust again. There's some ways that you will never ever trust again, and you shouldn't, because walls are meant to be built after abuse as a defense and protective mechanism so that we do not get hurt again. It's actually an amazing thing because we aren't as easily manipulated and don't put up with everyone's, I said, BS, and we build healthy boundaries, which enacts and protects our peace and physical and mental health and stability. I'm not going to say it gets better with time. What it does is teach us lessons that better us in time, if that makes sense. And then I said, here's my phone number. Feel free to add me on Facebook. So, and I ended with the same thing I told you guys. Healing and grief are a process, and it's baby steps. And the time frame is different for everyone. Be patient with yourself.
Absolutely. My comment was just going to be all of us divas and our moderators and our administrators. I would say 90% of us have been in an abusive situation, whether it was emotional or physical abuse. And one of the things this week has taught us, since doing the domestic abuse show that we did last Saturday, and then trying to help out our domestic abuse victim this week, every single one of us is in a different stage of the healing process.
Yes.
And what we're finding out amongst ourselves, and which is good because we have our network that we can network together, is that it's amazing what little things trigger us or bring up the past or bring up the bad memories or bring up stuff like that. So even though you may be at that point where, let's say you're getting ready to leave him tomorrow, or you've left him 5 years ago, or you left him 10 years ago, this will always creep up in your life. Little triggers are going to happen. You're going to hear a song that's going to remind you of your abuser. You're going to see a color that reminds you of your abuser. You need to have a network of people that you can turn to or have some type of support, because for the rest of your life, you're always going to have little things that trigger you. And no matter what form of healing that you're in, it's going to affect your life, unfortunately, for the rest of your life. So make sure you have a good network you can reach out to.
That's a great point.
And honestly, oh, sorry, Lori, go ahead.
What did you say, Lori?
I want to leave y'all with, and I know it's hard, and I get that, but don't be afraid to stand up to that person, female or male, it don't matter. Don't be afraid to attack them back. Don't be afraid to take them down a notch or two. It is okay to fight back. It is okay to say, I've had enough.
Absolutely. And that's what I would take back as well, talking about, taking stuff back. I would have, I'm glad I found my voice. He taught me a valuable lesson. He taught me to find my voice. So, yeah.
We've got a few comments here that I wanted to get to before we close. Myrna said, I've been through it and it is hard to trust. He got on drugs to keep from getting beat. I used. I left and he found me because he failed a DOT trust. I became homeless and only got help through the court system. I celebrated 1 year of sobriety and have been away from him for a year at the end of this month. And this is life after a domestic violence situation. Myrna, congratulations.
Myrna, I love you.
First of all,
this is the woman I was on the phone with this week, and she is fantastic, and I adore her, and she is a new friend for me, and I love her. So
I love that. Congratulations, yeah. Brave lady.
Go ahead, Catherine.
I was reading. I'm reading up close. Kathy Hitler says, some women get abused by their parents while growing up as well. This is very true.
Talking about. That's a lot of this. That's why we gravitate towards these kinds
of something a little bit.
One of the things that I feel like it's really important to mention, because I don't know how often this happens to people, but it is for me. So my abuser was my ex-husband. We do have a child together, and I did have a PFA for 2.5 years after I left, but eventually those PFAs go out of, they expire, and you do have to face him. And we share, he has visitation with my daughter on the weekends, and I do not ever go without someone, whether it's my mom's best friend, Ron, Jake is my oldest son. So somebody goes with me. I don't ever go by myself. I do, always have some kind of weapon, something for self-defense just in case. Ron is usually carrying. um,
Yeah.
but and laughing but very serious, right? So
Right.
it's an unfortunate situation because it's not something I would choose to do because I don't really care to have contact, but we have to. So if you are in that situation and you do have to see him and you do have to interact with him, again, be brave and carry those weapons, learn that self-defense. Don't go alone. I don't ever go alone.
And I would say in a lot of those situations also, because I was a foster mom, right, for 4 years,
Right.
try to find an alternate person to do that meet with the child. Because I know of a situation where somebody did go to meet with their, with that person. And it was actually a man that was shot by his ex-wife or by his wife.
Yeah, those are really crappy situations. And it's not, my mom did for a little while do the exchange, but, she's in her, almost 70 and
Oh,
she
yeah.
also was taking care of my dad. So, it wasn't fair to her that she had to do all the driving and all this stuff. So, once the PFA was up, she's like, I can't keep doing this every week. I'm getting tired. And,
Sure.
At that point I didn't have anyone else. And so I was like, so we're going to have to do this. And it wasn't, there were many times that Ron and Justin got into it. Obviously Ron's not going to back down. He's, a very stand-up guy, and he we're civil, and that's where I expect it to be civil, but we'll never be friends, and we'll never, I try to be nice and try to keep it about Chloe.
Right.
We've got some other comments I got to get up, and then we're let's see. Anita said, "I'm so thankful for you all," and Dawn said, "There are things that still make me upset." That's the biggest thing. I think everybody's got those triggers.
Yep.
Yeah, and they haunt you. They haunt you.
Yes. Robin said, "Hey, you all. I am also a domestic violence survivor." Hi, Robin. I'm sorry. I think we'd be shocked if we took maybe we should do a poll in Trucker Safety Divas. I think it might shock us how many women, whether it's through their childhood or through relationships or through marriages, have been victims of abuse in some shape, way, or form. Kathy Hilton said, "Ladies, I'm so sorry for what you all have been through. Although I honestly can't say that I can relate. I can't even imagine. I feel so blessed that I haven't been there."
You're lucky, Kathy, and that's a good thing.
Yes. Dawn said, "That was so awesome, Myrna. Congratulations." And Myrna said, "Catherine was my angel."
Thank you, Myrna.
I agree.
And Kathy Hilton says, "Prayers for all you ladies," and so does Brenda. She said, "Hi, and prayers for all you ladies too."
We appreciate them very much.
Yes. And I know our show ran over a little bit, but I knew it would because first of all, there's 5 of us now. And second of all, we're dealing with a difficult topic. And this may even go into a 3-part at one point because I'm sure there's a lot of information. I know I'm thinking of stuff off the top of my head that I could have put down.
Oh,
but
right.
Yeah, we'll put all this information up on Trucker Safety Divas tonight and tomorrow. So just be sure to take a look at that, and we'll have it all up there. Yes? You can go. We gotta go. So I'm sorry. That's the other thing. They're waiting for me to go to dinner.
Okay. Well, enjoy your dinner.
I know. Okay, so I apologize. I know the show ran late, but like I said, this is an important topic, and I knew it was going to run late because we got so much good information that we wanted to talk to everybody about. And Chris did not leave because of any other reason. Her phone died.
That's so strange. If you want to call me afterwards, you can.
And feel free to read.
Yeah, I was talking to you, Ashley.
Oh, sorry. There we go. Sorry.
We'll give you guys a call too after we get done eating.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching the show. We appreciate it. We will have all this information up on Trucker Safety Divas. I'm sorry. I know I'm cutting the show a little bit early, but I got people waiting on me to go to dinner, so I apologize. guys have a wonderful week. Thank you for watching the show, and be sure to like it and share it with your friends. We appreciate y'all.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, everyone.